Becoming, a memoir written by Michelle Obama. The garden churned through the seasons, teaching us all sorts of things. We grew cantaloupes that turned out pale and tasteless. We endured pelting rainstorms that washed away our topsoil. Birds snacked on our blueberries, beetles went after the cucumbers. Each time something went a little awry with the help of Jim Adams, the National Park Service horticulturist who served as our head gardener, and Dale Haney, the White House grounds superintendent, we made small adjustments and carried on, savoring the overall abundance. Our dinners in the residence now often included broccoli, carrots, and kale grown on the south lawn. We started donating a portion of every harvest to Miriam's Kitchen, a local nonprofit that served the homeless. We began, too, to pickle vegetables and present them as gifts to visiting dignitaries along with jars of honey from our new beehives. Among the staff, the garden became a source of pride. Its early skeptics had quickly become fans. For me, the garden was simple, prosperous, and healthy, a symbol of diligence and faith. It was beautiful while also being powerful, and it made people happy. Over the previous few months, my East Wing staff and I had spoken with children's health experts and advocates to help us develop the pillars on which our larger effort would be built. We'd give parents better information to help them make healthy choices for their families. We'd work to create healthier schools. We'd try to improve access to nutritious food. And we'd find more ways for young people to be physically active. Knowing that the way we introduced our work would matter as much as anything, I again enlisted the help of Stephanie Cutter, who came on as a consultant to help Sam and Jocelyn Fry shape the initiative, while my communications team was tasked with building a fun public face for the campaign. All the while, the West Wing was apparently fretting about my plans, worried I'd come off as a finger-wagging embodiment of the nanny state at a time when controversial bank and car company bailouts had left Americans extra leery of anything that looked like government intervention. My goal, though, was to make this more than government. I hoped to learn from what Hillary had shared with me about her own experiences, to leave the politics to Barack and focus on my own efforts elsewhere. When it came to dealing with the CEOs of soft drink companies and school lunch suppliers, I thought it was worth making a human appeal as opposed to a regulatory one, to collaborate rather than pick a fight. And when it came to the way families actually lived, I wanted to speak directly to moms, dads, and especially kids. I wasn't interested in following the tenets of the political world or appearing on Sunday morning news shows. Instead, I did interviews with health magazines geared towards parents and kids. I hula hooped on the South Lawn to show that exercise could be fun, and made a guest appearance on Sesame Street, talking about vegetables with Elmo and Big Bird. Anytime I spoke to reporters from the White House garden, I mentioned that many Americans had trouble accessing fresh produce in their communities, and tried to remark on the healthcare costs connected to rising obesity levels. I wanted to make sure we had buy-in from everyone we'd need to make the initiative a success, to anticipate any objections that might be raised. With this in mind, we spent weeks and weeks quietly holding meetings with business and advocacy groups as well as members of Congress. We conducted focus groups to test market our branding for the project, enlisting the pro bono help of PR professionals to fine-tune the message. In February 2010, I was finally ready to share my vision. On a cold Tuesday afternoon, and with DC still digging out from a historic blizzard, I stood at a lectern in the state dining room at the White House, surrounded by kids and cabinet secretaries, sports figures, and mayors, along with leaders in medicine, education, and food production, plus a bevy of media to proudly announce our new initiative, which we decided to name Let's Move. It centered on one goal: ending the childhood obesity epidemic within a generation. What was important to me was that we weren't just announcing some pie-in-the-sky set of wishes. The effort was real and the work was well underway. Not only had Barack signed a memorandum earlier that day to create a first-of-its-kind federal task force on childhood obesity, but the three major corporate suppliers of school lunches had announced that they would cut the amount of salt, sugar, and fats in the meals they served. The American Beverage Association had promised to improve the clarity of its ingredient labeling. We'd engaged the American Academy of Pediatrics to encourage doctors to make body mass index measurements a standard of care for children, and we'd persuaded Disney, NBC, and Warner Brothers to air public service announcements and invest in special programming that encouraged kids to make healthy lifestyle choices. Leaders from 12 different professional sports leagues, too, had agreed to promote a 60 minutes of play a day campaign to help kids moving more. And that was just the start. We had plans to help bring green grocers into urban neighborhoods and rural areas known as food deserts, to push for more accurate nutritional information on food packaging, and to redesign the aging food pyramid to be more accessible and in line with current research on nutrition. Along the way, we'd work to hold the business community accountable for its decision making around issues impacting children's health. It would take commitment and organization to make all this happen. I knew, but that was exactly the kind of work I liked. We were taking on a huge issue, but now I had the benefit of operating from a huge platform. I was beginning to realize that all the things that felt odd to me about my new existence, the strangeness of fame, the hawk-eyed attention paid to my image, the vagueness of my job description, could be marshaled in service of real goals. I was energized. Here, finally, was a way to show my full self.